Hi everyone, welcome back. The first DIY is going to be this haunted house lantern, and I found these really cool frames from the Dollar Tree. They are 5 by 7. I've removed the glass and the other inserts from each of the frames. I have 4 frames in total. I have this paper LED lamp also from Dollar Tree. And when you open it up, you'll see that there are designs on each side, 2 of the same design going all the way around. So I'm just going to cut that off and save the little roof pieces because we're going to use those later. And I'm just going to cut right where the fold is. I'm going to insert the glass and then put one of the little cellophane pictures inside. It does need to be trimmed down a bit. It's just a little bit longer, but you can see how it looks once it's trimmed down and it fits inside. And I'm just going to do that for the remaining 3 frames. If you missed my first Halloween DIY for 2020, just click the card in the upper right-hand corner or check the description box for the link. Once I'm done, I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue the 4 picture frames together. If you wanted to use something stronger, a stronger adhesive, you absolutely could. Now I'm going to take these 2 smaller frames, these 4 by 6 frames, and I'm going to take the inserts out but leave the glass in. You could hot glue the glass in and remove the tabs. I just chose to bend the tabs over. These are going to form the roof for our haunted house lantern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the frames and set it inside the little ridge of the other frame, and that's going to give me a pointed roof. So I'm just going to add hot glue and glue the 2 together. And I'm going to add it to the lantern using hot glue. Now back to the little roof part. It does have these little adhesive tabs on each side. Initially, I did just peel that back and stick it to the frame, as you will see me do here. Later on, it did pop off. I think it was because it's meant to hold on to paper and not plastic. So I did have to go back and use hot glue to keep it in place. Now I'm going to take this leftover frame from a previous DIY. If you haven't seen that one, I will link it for you below. I'm just going to remove the back and paint this black. There are some of these frames that come already in a black paint, so if you have one of those, you could skip this step. I also painted the bottom black. Now I'm going to reinsert it using hot glue, and I did turn it upside down. This is going to be facing the bottom. If you wanted to paint over it, you could. I'm going to take these little skeleton hands and this little cauldron bucket. Everything is from Dollar Tree. And I want the skeleton hands to hold on to the cauldron. And I'm going to use my trusted hot glue to adhere the little skeleton hands to the cauldron. Then I'm going to use more hot glue to add it to the bottom of the little box here. And I added a lot of extra hot glue, and don't worry, you will not be able to see it. Once it's dried, I'm going to take some of this creepy cloth. I'm going to wind it around some of the fingers and then stuff it down into the bottom. Then I'm going to cut off any excess that I have. This little color changing LED candle came with the paper house, and I'm going to use it inside of the cauldron. I'm just going to turn it on and drop it inside. Then I'm going to take the tiniest piece of polyfill and I'm just going to kind of stretch it out a little bit and pop it right over the top. You don't want it to be too thick because you want to be able to see that color changing LED. So all you have to do is to pop the lantern right over the top of it. And that's it for this DIY. For the next DIY, we are going to make a poison apple. I'll be using a foam apple from Dollar Tree and this green felt square from Dollar Tree as well. I cut out a strip, and using this picture as an inspiration, I'm going to draw out a face, and then I use the little detailing scissors from Dollar Tree to cut that out. Then I'm going to go along the bottom of it and cut out sort of a melting, pouring effect at the bottom. I'm going to adhere it to the apple with hot glue. In retrospect, I should have made the face smaller next time, or if you do this, make sure to make the eyes and the nose smaller so you can see more of the apple underneath. I'm going to finish wrapping it. Then I decided to switch out the stem for one of the Velveteen Dollar Tree pumpkin stems. I did paint it black, and I'm going to paint the area where I'm going to insert it black as well. Once it's dry, that's how it looks. I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue to secure the stem in place, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert it. I decided to take some of the black acrylic paint and go around the eyes and the nose area. And the next DIY is going to involve the poison apple. We're going to make a plaque for it. And this is one of the little wood plaques from Dollar Tree. It comes in a few different shapes. I chose this one, obviously. And I'm going to use these chalkboard crop stickers. I just rubbed it against the top of the plaque instead of having to trace it out. And this is going to give me accurate lines on where I should cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Now I need to paint the edges of the plaque black. I am not going to paint the back of it. You can if you want to. I'm not going to, just for the sake of this video. The back of it doesn't need to be painted. And once it's dried, I'm going to peel back the chalkboard sticker and add it to the top. In any place that the sticker doesn't cover, I just used a regular old Sharpie marker to color it in. Now I'm going to take this gold Sharpie paint pen and just go around the edges to give it a bit of a patina. I also did the same thing to the stem of the poison apple. And that's how it turned out. Now I'm going to take these chalkboard letters and I'm going to use it to spell out a little message about that poison apple. I added these flourishes to it as well. For our next DIY, we're going to make a reversible Halloween tree skirt using this buffalo check mini tree skirt from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to turn it over. It has this hem going along the circumference of the tree skirt, and what I want to do is to fold it down and glue it down so it's not sticking up. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do all the way around. Now that that's done, I'm going to take this craft fabric from Dollar Tree in a Halloween pattern and just lay it right over the top. And I'm just going to fold and tuck it underneath, and I'm going to use the craft clips to hold it in place. I am not a seamstress. I'm sure that if you are a seamstress or someone who sews a lot, you have a better method to do this. This is just the method that I'm using. I cut the circle out in the middle. I also followed the slit that comes in the original tree skirt. If you're liking the DIY so far, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it, and it does help my channel out so much. So now we have a reversible holiday tree skirt. So now we need a tree. So we're going to make a Halloween Christmas tree, if there is such a thing. I'm going to use the mini green tree from Dollar Tree along with some of these wired garland ties. And I'm going to paint them with this Rust-Oleum matte farmhouse black paint. Once it's dried, this is how it turned out. You could leave it just like that, plain, but I will be decorating the tree. I'm going to go ahead and put the little tree skirt around it. And I have these orange and black Halloween ornaments that I could use. Also, I have a bit of the creepy cloth left from the first DIY. Stay tuned to the end to see what I use. For the next DIY, we're going to make a spooky tree cloche, and I'll be using this high dome cloche from Dollar Tree. I'll be painting the base of it with the same farmhouse black spray paint. Once it's dried, I'm going to take one of these faux moss stones, and I started to paint it black, and then I realized that it would be better if I just went ahead and hot glued it down to the base, so that's what I did. And then I continued painting it. Now I'm going to take one of the black chenille stems and fold it over in half and twist it over onto itself. This is going to be the trunk of the tree, the main part of the spooky tree. Then I'm going to cut down pieces of another black chenille stem. I'm going to hot glue it to the main stem. You don't have to hot glue it. These are wires. You can wrap them around one another. I just chose to hot glue it. And I'm just going to continue doing that and shaping my little spooky tree to the way that I want it to be. There are 1,000 different ways that you could do this. Now I'm going to use the detailing scissors to make a hole, and this is how it turned out. I do apologize, my camera died and I didn't realize it. I downloaded printables from Pinterest of crow silhouettes. I printed them out. I downsized them to 14%. I cut them out and then I hot glued them to the tree, and I'm so happy with the way this turned out. For our next DIY, we're going to be making some LED skull bookends, and these are glittery LED skulls from Dollar Tree, and when you touch them, glitter gets everywhere. So I am going to take them out and spray them with this Rust-Oleum clear top coat. Once it's dried, I'm able to touch it and not have glitter all over my hands. You can also use spray paint. I just happen to have the top coat. These do turn off and on the bottom, so we want to keep that in mind. And these don't flash lights, they kind of change color gradually. For the bottom, I will be using 2 of these Halloween book boxes from Dollar Tree. I wanted 2 of the Love Potion ones, but I couldn't find 2 in the same size, so I just opted for the orange one as the second book. I took a piece of paper and I'm going to rub it around where the power switch is for the skull. I drew a larger circle around that, cut it out, and now I'm going to use a Sharpie pen to trace that circle out. I do that for both of the boxes. Then I'm going to take a straight edge and cut out those circles. Now that that's done, I want to add weight to these boxes because if you're going to use them as bookends, they have to be heavy. So I'm going to use this bag of pebbles from Dollar Tree. I took one of the frames from the first DIY. I removed the little kickstand part. I'm going to leave these in because they will act as handles if you want to pull this out at any point. I cut it down to size and now I'm just going to lay it over the pebbles so when you open the box you won't see the stones there, and you can use this for storage. Now I'm going to hot glue right in between the skull and the book, making sure that the power switch and the battery replacement is available. For the next DIY, we're going to use this water bottle to make a vampire gnome. I know it sounds weird, but just go with me on this. So I'm going to cut the top of the water bottle off, and be sure to save that. Don't throw it away because we will be using that later on. I'm going to dry out the water bottle with a paper towel, and I put one of these little gel packets inside to take up any leftover moisture. Now I'm deciding whether I want to cover it in the black or the red, and I'm going to go with the red because I covered the witch gnomes in black. So I just wrap the felt around the water bottle, let it overlap a little bit. I cut it down to size. I'm going to fold the top over and then hot glue it to the water bottle. This is Mongolian faux fur that I got from Etsy. I will link the shop where I got it from. It's a pretty sizable portion. So I cut a rectangular shape off of it, and I'm going to hot glue it down over the top as you see me doing there. Then I decided I wanted more of a triangular shape, so I'm just going to use my straight edge and cut it into a triangular shape, making sure not to cut the fur, just to cut the fabric at the back that connects it. Now when I fold it over, it has more of a triangular shape. I opted to use this wood bead for the vampire nose, and I am just going to hot glue it into place. I will be using this floral form with the plastic on to help hold the hat up. In the end, this part turns out to be optional. I did this because initially I wanted to add the felt on its own, but I decided to get a reinforced hat or make a reinforced hat using this black poster board. I am going to cut it down to size and hot glue the felt to the poster board. So if you use this method, you don't have to hot glue the floral foam form to the inside of the gnome. You can just start right here with the hat making process. Once that is done, I'm going to roll the poster board over into a hat shape. And I want to keep the base of it the same size because I know it'll fit over the top of the gnome. And then I want to go ahead and hot glue it down. Then I will cut off the excess and also cut the bottom even. For his fangs, I thought I was going to use 2 of the small bamboo skewers painted white. I ended up using 2 of the large bamboo skewers because look at the size difference. Yeah, the small ones were going to be way too little. So I hot glued them into place. So he has his fangs, and then I hot glued his hat. I'll be making a little cape for him using this pirate vest and this hero cape, both from Dollar Tree. Again, on this part, a huge disclaimer, I am by no means a seamstress. I just kind of made this up as I went along. I had an idea of how I wanted it to look. Once I got it to the size that I wanted it to be, I did go ahead and hot glue it to the vampire gnome. For our bonus DIY, we're going to make a water bottle cloche using the top of the water bottle that we cut off earlier. So go ahead and remove the cap, and then you want to remove the top part of the water bottle. At first I wanted to use this hacksaw, but that wasn't working. I ended up having to use my Dremel to remove it. So that's what you should have left. Make sure to heat up an iron on hot with its steam turned off. And you want to just kind of touch and go the bottom of the cloche to the iron until it is even. You could also do this in a pan over the stove. And you can see it's making the bottom of it even, so you can't tell that it was cut. And I'm also going to do the same thing with the top of the cloche. Once that's done, I need a top for the cloche, so I decided to use one of the little plastic eyeballs. You can get these from Dollar Tree. I wanted to add something extra, so I decided to take this 3D fabric paint and add some drips going down the side. They make this puff paint in a few different colors, so you could use red or green or blue, whatever you like. Then I hot glued the eyeball down. I added more fabric paint to the top of the eyeball, and I left it overnight to dry. This is what it looked like the next day. I warmed up a apple cinnamon candle, and I just did it because it was red. And now I'm going to pour some of that wax over the top of the cloche to help me get the effect that I want. Of course, be super careful while doing this, but you can already see the difference that made on this little spooky cloche. This trim fits perfectly underneath the cloche. It's just dollar trim that I got from the Target dollar spot. It still has trim on it, so I still need to use it. I traced it out over the chalkboard adhesive, and then I placed that adhesive on top of it. And now you can put whatever you want to into that cloche. And I didn't cover the sides because I still need to use the trim, but if you don't need to do that, you can cover the sides. And now let's see how all of our DIYs look together. I did use the purple light on the tree, but it does show up on the screen as blue. Those are the purple lights that I got from Dollar Tree. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. This does help my channel out so much and I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my growing channel for more seasonal DIYs, walkthrough hauls, giveaways, and more. I hope you all are taking care and are safe, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.